we don't like to pull any wool over anyone's eyes, so this is a bit of a last-minute thing here. We had a couple of schedule adjustments, but the great man himself, Quinten Lynch, joins us on BackChat for the very first time. Lynchy, we appreciate you coming in at such short notice, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks, and pleasure to be here. And yes, this could be interesting, I think.
Oh, I think it could be interesting too. Yeah, correct. Yeah,
for everyone listening, let's hope.
Ideally, it's not boring. Now, the first question, Lynchy, I don't give a big spiel about your career because we know you've done a lot of things on the football field. Played over 200 games for West Coast. You're a life member. You're a premiership player. You've been leading goal kicker a couple of times at the footy club. Runner-up, best and fairest, but he's done a lot on the football field, Dan.
Just a few
but
things.
The first question we ask our guests every time is, what's your greatest sporting achievement not on the football field? We know you've been a great footballer.
Yeah, no, that's easy for me.
Oh, great. Very good.
When I was at school, I won Ahead of the River, rowing, which is in the PSA over here in WA, and that's pretty prestigious, and I still hold that higher than I do winning the football at school at the same time. So
really? So, yeah, you were a premiership player as a footy player in year 12?
Yeah, it was undefeated, but when I won Head of the River, I was only in year 10 rowing with year 12, so I was only a young kid in the crew, and yeah, it was a pretty special moment.
You get the oar, don't you?
Yeah, they've got a little mini oar to celebrate. And
not the actual one? They give
no, I had to leave that one in the shed.
Thought Aquinas was well off, mate.
No. But no, that was a very special day, and that was something that I'll never forget. You know, 500 people swam out to the boat, and they nearly snapped our boat. And back then the boats are worth, they're probably worth $200,000 now. It was about $100,000 boat, and they never could race it again because they bent it like a banana.
So what? Everyone jumped in the river,
and the boat filled up with water, and the rowing boats have air pockets at either end, so they ballast, and so that you end up stretching it and end up having a bowl in it, and they could never race it again.
No wonder they didn't give you the oar, mate. You ruined their boat.
That was amazing. That was amazing.
Out of the river.
Yeah.
So that was at Aquinas.
Yes,
you're a boarder there.
Yep.
Grew up in the country.
Yep.
What was your time like as a kid growing up in the country and then moving boarding school to such a big school, a big city boy?
Yeah, look, I loved growing up on the farm. I thought that gave me a great grounding in life. I loved being on the farm, loved being able to drive around whenever I wanted to. But the opportunity for high school, look, I was one of 6 kids, and I was probably, as my sisters say, they were probably the blessed one because mum and dad actually asked me if I wanted to go away in year 8 back then, boarding school, where all my sisters only got to go in year 11 because we weren't flush with money. But obviously footy was a bit of a dream and sport was a big thing in my life. And mum and dad gave me an opportunity and I grabbed it with both hands and obviously went away to boarding school at Aquinas and, they were probably 5 of the best years of my life on a ball. So got away with a lot that I wouldn't have if I was living under mum and dad's roof, that's for sure. But no, boarding school was great to me and, just went on from there. You
were captain of the footy side. Daniel Kerr playing that one with you?
Yeah, we did. We were a pretty amazing side. Daniel Kerr was in the team and a heap of blokes that played a lot of waffle footy. Look, David Crawford played in 5 grand finals with Claremont and Matty Gordon, a good mate of mine, played just under 200 games for West Perth in a premiership.
Any other AFL players?
Was there? Not.
I don't know the answer.
Not to remember. No, I don't think there was. No.
But you went undefeated that year.
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we on cruise control pretty much.
And so you have a good year, year 12. Was that the year that you went All-Australian as a backman, as a centre-half backman?
Was, for under 18s. Was it that year? That might have been the year after when I left school.
So you had a year between school and getting drafted?
Yeah, I had a year out at West Perth and, yes. And then I was All-Australian that year.
So you're All-Australian as a backman. I might add, on BackChat here, Dan. People think he was the big goal-kicking forward, but this man is a backman.
Yeah, so I grew up, I played all my footy as junior really as a forward ruck and then went to West Perth and played centre-half back. And
I know I liked him for a reason.
And then, played at under 18s, was All-Australian centre-half back and was the only All-Australian not drafted. Actually.
I was going to say, what was draft day like? Because you don't get drafted.
No, I was at the farm with the old man actually harvesting, and Heath was pretty keen to listen to it. So he went inside and listened on the radio, and he said, "You coming?" I said, "No, I know I'm not going to get drafted." So I stayed here and kept harvesting, and got in my car the next morning.
Why do you think?
I just knew the interest was not there. Yeah, you can get a pretty good feel of it.
Why? Well, you're pretty honest, bloke. Why?
Choco Williams thought I was fat and overweight, so that's what he told me at draft camp anyway. So that was probably one thing. But I'm not sure. You just had a feel, and the Eagles rang me before the draft day and said, "Look, we're not going to draft you. I said, yeah, I didn't think you would.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks, Woody. But he said, if you don't get drafted, which you probably think you might not, can you come and train with us next week? And that was when you had train on. So they do a bit now for the rookie list. And so, yeah, finished my harvest day on the Saturday. The draft was on Saturday morning and packed my Kingswood up and come back to Perth.
Did you? Driving the Kingswood. How bloody good.
Brilliant.
So you rock up at West Coast and you're effectively doing a pre-season uncontracted. You're not a rookie.
Yeah, so got there, sort of late last week of November probably.
Yep.
And then trained right through to Christmas. And
Is there any promises that will look to rookie you, or it's pretty much just
no,
it's
four other blokes there with me trying out for the same spot.
Yep.
I mentioned David Crawford. He was one of them trying out with me, one of my good mates from school. No promises, and just had to put my best foot forward and see what happened.
Were you doing anything else at the time? Was it just your full focus on training, getting into the squad?
No, by then I'd played a whole year in the waffle then. Sort of in and out of the league side at West Perth, and I had a job. I did all sorts of jobs in that first year out of school, but I remember I played in a prelim final for the reserves that year in 2001 for West Perth, and I told my boss at work that if I lose this prelim on Sunday, I'm not coming back to work on Monday. and he's like, yeah, you will. I said, no, I'm not, mate. I was cutting scrap metal in a scrap metal yard with an oxy, and it was the worst job in the world. We lost the prelim. Didn't go back to work and went straight back to farm. Then I spent 3 months down there with the old man. So, yeah,
true to your word.
I was true to my word. Yeah, it was the worst job that I've ever done by a long shot.
Oh, that's great. So you do get a rookie spot though. So that 5 or 6 weeks at the club, you do get a rookie spot, and you play games in your first year.
Yeah, so back then, rookies couldn't play, but you had to get elevated. So 2002 was my first season at the club. Couldn't play for the first half of the year, and then was lined up to play centre half back for the state side for WA. This is in the waffle state side.
Still a backman.
Yeah, and got my jumper. Sort of did the media promos with Big Emu Turnbull still playing back then. So me and him were sort of fronting the media about the game against South Australia, which I was really looking forward to as a 19 going on 20, I think 20-year-old by then. And then the Tuesday of that week before the game, Wilshire said, give your state jumper back. You're coming to Melbourne with us.
Were you happy?
Yeah, I was. I would have liked to keep my state jumper, but they actually made me give it back, the waffle. But
no state jumper.
Yeah, so they had to reshuffle the deck, and I went over and played my first game against Carlton as a full forward. So I played 2 seasons at centre half back at West Perth, and got put in the side as a full forward. So that was interesting.
Give it to him. What club's he in?
Well, you're in the first. Debut, first kick, first goal club.
Yeah, correct. Yep.
It's a prestigious club, that.
Yeah, no, it was.
What happened?
Cool.
Do you remember your first kick?
Yeah, well, I've seen a few replays, so I remember it now. Yeah, I was playing on Luke Livingston at the time, one of Joshy Kennedy's good mates, actually. And just stole the ball out from underneath him and slotted one on the run from about 45-ish. Yeah.
60.
It wasn't 60.
I'd say it's probably helpful not having like a set shot as your first kick for first goal. Like when it's on the run, you sort of let it fly a bit.
Might have helped a lot through my whole career at some stages too.
Do you stay as a full forward? Like I feel like a lot of that early part of your career, you're back, you're forward.
Yeah, so that year I played full forward for the rest of the season until I got dropped for around 22. Played down the Kangaroos down in Monica, and then got brought back in for the final the following week because Coxie got injured in the final game of the year.
Yes.
But then the next year, then I trained. But then that's next summer I trained all year as a that was 32. Then I trained all year as a backman. Didn't get a game all 2003.
Not one.
No, played centre half forward at West Perth.
Won a flag?
Yes, won a flag in 03. So I played centre half forward that year, the whole year at West Perth. And then trained at centre half back all 2004 in the pre-season before 2004, and then played the first 20 rounds of 2004 as a backman. So I was it was all depending on where I was playing, what club I was playing at.
You've always played with good key position players though, right? Like you've always had great backmen around you, great forwards, competing for spots with. Yeah,
and I think that year in 2004 when I played, I think 17 rounds as a centre half back. I played on like some of the old school good centre half forwards, and it was probably a really good learning curve for me. So
like who? Some of the guys.
I got to play on Carey when he was at Adelaide. Scotty Lucas from Essendon, Treadray, Jonathan Brown was still in his prime back then. That was the first game I ever played at centre back, and that was a learning curve. Yeah,
On John O'Brien.
well, he ran me into the ground, and it was about half through the last quarter. I had nothing left, and he was still chugging around.
And you're a fit guy. People don't know that much about Jonathan Brown. He was a fit player.
Oh, he's an amazing athlete. So yeah, and that playing on all those sort of blokes, taught you a fair bit, and was pretty cool.
So you played every game that year. What did you get dropped for?
I did have 1 week off. I had a bit of a rest week in the middle of the year when I got done for my influence drink driving charge. So
is it long enough gone that you can have a laugh about? I mean, it's 20 years ago. It's clearly a big mistake by a young man.
Yeah, it's probably long enough, and hopefully the kids aren't listening to this podcast yet.
And if they are,
no, I think I've had it. I think I've told them about it. Obviously, got done for DD and was driving around on my way home, and I had a mate in the ute who probably should have been driving, but he had a broken leg, so we sort of didn't think he should be driving. And then we got pulled over. It was late, and I took off because I told him, mate, I can't afford to get caught for this.
Was that because you're scared of what would happen?
Yeah, 100%. I thought we should rip my head off, which he pretty much did. Between him and Nizzy, they both had a good go at it. But then I ran and tried to hide behind a tree that was way too small, and they caught up with me, and they gave me a fair hiding, the coppers.
Did they?
They didn't like running, that's for sure. But then I was lucky I did stop, because I went back to my ute, and there's my mate wrapped around my roll bar with handcuffs on, and they weren't letting him go anywhere fast, so I had to get him out of the sticky situation.
I just have a visual of Lynchy running away from the cops, and then just someone's front yard, like Lynchy's shoulders and hands coming out one side of the tree, legs and feet out the other, and a torch on you going, Quinten, we can see you. Is that pretty much how it happened?
Yeah, pretty much. And then they did lay the boots in, mate. So it was interesting times.
Fair enough. Again, I know you're an honest man. I mean, you were in the wrong there, right?
Well, I would have thought so. Yeah. The thing I blew into definitely told me that, don't worry.
Okay, so 2005 comes around. You have another good year. You're as a full-time forward now, back as a forward. You play every game in that season. You play the qualifying final against Sydney.
Yep.
You win.
Yep.
And you get dropped. Dropped coming into a prelim.
Yeah, dropped the prelim. Another life lesson. Look, and I don't ever whinge about anything or give excuses, but I carried osteitis pubis through pretty much the whole season. Sort of by halfway through the year, I was battling to get through games really. By the time time come, I was it was after that was battling to walk. So it probably really dented my form back into the season. Got dropped for the prelim. I freshened up enough. I reckon I definitely could have got a game out in the grand final. I was still an emergency, and didn't find out I wasn't playing until about 8:30 the night before the grandy.
Really?
I was still thrown up between Travis Gasper and obviously Gardy. They both ended up playing, and Jamie Graham, I think, was playing that year. Yeah. So, but that was pretty disappointing. Very disappointing, but also gave me a spur to get fit and get my groin right and start again.
What was it like watching that game at the ground in 05?
To be honest, I had a couple of beers just to take the edge off. Yeah, it was pretty hard to watch. Probably the harder thing was I went and warmed up on the ground and with the team before the game, and my mum and dad had obviously flown over because they didn't know if I was playing or not, and they came anyway. And then obviously I warmed up with the team, so mum thought I was playing, and then we didn't really have mobile phones back then, or they didn't work under the change rooms or whatever. But then I came back up in the stands, and that was the first time she found out I actually wasn't playing. So I hadn't told her or anything. So she was pretty distraught. So that was pretty hard, but it was hard to watch.
Because she'd seen you warm up.
Yeah, and she just thought I was playing. So yeah, so that was probably the hardest part about the day. But then obviously watching the boys go down to Sydney by a point was pretty nail biting.
You're around that period. You had scrutiny around your marking, and that probably makes sense. A defender going to the forward line, not quite knowing what you're doing around goals. But yeah. From my memory, because I got drafted at the end of 06 and 07, and I have memories of scrutiny. Like, you had issues with your marking, but you don't play in that 2005 grand final. Looking at your career from a statistical point of view, that must have spurred you. Like, that must have been a driving factor for you.
Oh,
having missed out on that.
100% missing out on any grand final when you're that close. Like, if you think you're way off the mark, yeah, but when you think you should be out there, it definitely spurred me on and made me try and do everything in my power to make sure I never missed another one.
So 2006, you lead you're a leading goal kicker, kicked 65 goals. You do that again in 2007, and 2006 clearly a big year in your career, playing a grand final and a premiership player. What are your reflections on 2006 after missing out on 2005?
Yeah, I look back on the year. I had a pretty slow start of the year, to tell the truth, 2006, and went away to mid-season trips are a bit frowned upon these days after Jordan's efforts in Bali. But we used to go to Broome every year for the exact same thing, just to get relax and let your hair down and get some sun. And we did that, and I had a good time up there with a few of the boys, and came back and really fired my back into my year up, and came home with a wet sail and kicked a lot of goals in the second half of that year, and took some really good form into the finals, and kicked some goals in the finals too. So that was probably one thing I remember about the year a lot, is just the back sort of 10 games into the finals are pretty solid.
Well, you're on edge, because of what happened the year before. You played every game, you get dropped after a qualifying final. Did you have that in your back of your mind?
No, I was in way better form going into the finals than the following year. I was in, I'd had a very good, pretty good year really. So I didn't think that was an issue, to tell the truth.
And then what about grand final day? How does it differ, given that, again, what you endured the year before?
Well, we're probably lucky that everyone, we'd all done it before now. In 2005, the same sort of group had gone through the parade, done everything else. So it was a bit of a, there was a lot less anxiousness or hype, whatever you want to call it, in the playing group. I think we were all pretty relaxed, and we knew what we were there for, and we knew what game we were going to put on the paddock, and we knew our opposition inside out. So it was going to be an arm wrestle till the death, and it always was at that time in that period with them. Didn't matter how far in front you got, it seemed to always get squared up, and it played out to script, and we're on the right end of the ledger this time.
Did you play well?
Look, I did.
Kick 3.
Yeah, I did kick 3, and I have actually finally looked at a bit of the game only in the recent years. I've had probably the last 12 months I actually bet. No, I was pretty ordinary actually. I didn't do a hell of a lot, but kicked
three goals,
kicked some crucial goals. But the one I kicked in the third quarter was pretty solid.
The boundary 50 out,
and that was probably
time of the game.
Yeah, settle us for the team. But other than that, it wasn't the greatest impact on the game. But
what was it like playing with Curry? You went through your whole schooling life with him, and then you're playing at West Coast with him, a good mate of yours. Was there a connection between you two? Because Curry kicked you that ball.
Yeah, no, definitely. We had a pretty special connection on the footy field. Played a lot of footy together, and it was out of my whole career. It was only sort of 1 year between 1996 and when I left to Collingwood in 2012 that we didn't play together, which is the year I was at West Perth after school, my first year out of school. So, he'd do everything in his power to get me the ball when he could, and mate. But I just knew how he played and knew his game inside out, and he was a pretty special footballer. A lot of people, we had some amazing players around that time, but if you actually wound back some of the talent that bloke had, it was frightening.
Yes. You won the grand final. I don't know if you remember this. You were interviewed after the grand final.
I just definitely remember it, mate. I didn't know I'd done it. I know that dropping the F-bomb on TV. I actually didn't even realise I'd done it.
I think you dropped 3 of them.
Nah, it was only 1. Come on.
No, it was 2.
Was it 2? Well, I didn't know how much of a controversy it had caused until I probably got a little bit of consciousness back about Wednesday, and I heard it was rife in the media. I'm like, what are they going on about? Anyway, I sort of went back and sort of saw what happened. I was like, I'm making a bit of a mountain out of a molehill, but it did stir a bit of a hoo-ha in the media, I suppose.
I was going to say, Channel, because I was reading about it just before, and there were people outraged about it. West Coast have explaining to do and stuff like that. And then Channel 10 their statement was something like, it's a live event. We can't control what comes out.
It's also human, I would have thought. I wouldn't think there'd be many people, especially listening to this show, that haven't heard an F-bomb in their life.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't have thought so. But, it was... I think Brawny helped me out a bit too, because I reckon he dropped one as well.
Well, that's right. I mean, you were bloody excited. The best thing that ever happened to you as a footballer, and probably as a man. I don't know.
Of course, it's the most exciting day of your life by far. So, probably still is. And I'm married and got 3 kids. So,
hello kids, hello wife. Talking about not controversial moments, but things that happened after the grand final. I remember there was a big furore about not giving the kids the hats.
Yeah.
Did you give them the hat or not?
Nah, my little fella, I've got a picture on my wall at home with my jumper frame, and it's me after I get my medal and my arms up. And every time my little fella looks at it, he goes, "You got in trouble for not giving that kid your hat, Dad."
Because were you wearing the hat?
Oh, I think so. He reminds me every time because he knows the story about that.
Did someone just not say anything? Like, it mustn't have been told.
No,
the amount of blokes that didn't give them.
I think we gave them the hats. We just didn't shake their hands or something. It was something. Yeah. It was ridiculous at the time, And they obviously made a massive thing about it. And then obviously from then on, everyone looks like saints in the following 20 years of premierships, don't they?
Don't be the 2006 Eagles.
They get schooled before they go out there. Like at the time, no, I don't think they'd ever done it before or something. But it was ridiculous, really, when you think about it.
I don't remember many things about the finish of the grand final, but one memory I have is there was a couple of people running around. Make sure you give the kid their hat and shake their hand. Like, not well done, you won the premiership. Yeah. Make sure you give them the hat and shake their hand. It's like, okay.
Yeah. So.
I think there was one in 2018 that didn't, and he ran back.
Masto. So Masto was one of the blokes sprinting around going, no, don't do the hat, don't miss the hat, don't miss the hat.
Then he forgot.
Does that surprise you?
No. That's quite funny. I actually had to have a double take watching the game on Friday night against Essendon, and he's the runner. I was like, what the?
Masto's out there running at the moment. You'd be able to do that, surely. You've been running around for...
Oh, I could have. Yeah, I could have. Not at the moment. I've just bulged a disc in my back, so I'm battling to do a bit of running at the moment. But, it was quite funny. He was trotting around out there.
One memory I had of you was recovery, Dan. So recovery day, Sunday, Monday, whatever the day, the day after the game, you'd come in and there was a park called Kitchener Park at Subiaco Oval, and either Stu Cormack or Warren Cofed would say, "All right, boys, go do a couple of laps around Kitchener Park." And 80% of the group would walk. It was optional. If you wanted to run, you could run. 80% would walk 2 laps. Another 10% would walk maybe one, jog another.
Yep.
Quinten Lynch, for my entire career, would start at a jog, and by the end of it would be effectively sprinting down the hill at Kitchener Park.
That was my fault. That was Rowan Jones's fault, because I used to do it with him all the time, and he loved his running too. And so it just became a bit of a thing where we just used to
I guess the quicker you do it, though,
get it out of the way.
Yeah.
But I just I couldn't even get out of a walk, and Lynchy was running strides. So what do you put that down to?
Oh, I was always just a big believer in getting moving again. So, and as you said, like when I started my career, I wasn't much of a runner, but I really worked that side of my game really hard in fitness, and I just saw it as an opportunity if I was cork free or wasn't too sore to put a few extra miles on my legs. So that was sort of where it came from.
Do you have any big? You played in some grand final, a grand final. You played in some other big finals. Do you have memories about big games you played in, or derby memories, or big incidents that you were part of as a player?
It's a couple. One's in a derby for all the wrong reasons. I was playing on centre back, playing on Luke McFarlane, who I'd already had history against from back in the school days when he towed me up once in PSA footy. And someone decided to lob a ball on top of my head. And I might have been playing centre forward. He was playing centre back, yeah. And one of our boys decided to lob a ball on my head, and I couldn't get to it, but Luke could, and he stood on my shoulders like he taking a candid moment. So I remember that one. That really hurt.
Embers spoke about a bit about that. Embers is on some of the greatest marks. He's underneath some of the greatest marks you'll ever see. Yeah. Walker, Howe, Sampy.
Good step ladder, Embers.
Yeah.
Things like that, and. I've got a pretty good memory when I played for Collingwood. When I played my second game there, it was a Carlton-Collingwood game, and obviously we talk about derbies over here in the West, Eagles, Dockers, and how parochial the crowds are. But I played in the Carlton-Collingwood derby, or whatever you want to call it over there, and that was pretty amazing. Collingwood got in the front about 10 minutes in the last quarter, and I've never heard of footy ground, even playing in that grand final, erupt like that. It was crazy time. So that was pretty cool.
Let's talk about that part of your career. So 2012, the end of 2012, free agency comes in. Unrestricted free agent you were at the time. How do you reflect back on that? Because you leave West Coast. So I think there was an offer. I think there was a deal on the table, a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
You chose to forego that and head to Collingwood, which a massive rival of West Coast.
Yeah.
Does that come in? How did that all play out?
Yeah, that was interesting times, and it's pretty stressful back then. Really, I was out a young family, and obviously West Coast had put a deal on the table. It was. I thought they were lowballing me. I still believe they were. And obviously I had some interest from over east, and Collingwood showed some pretty good interest, and my manager was able to get a deal done, and I think I was pretty much the first free agent signed.
Yep.
Because that was the first year it came in.
Yep.
So and that was exciting. It was a big move for us, moving across the country. The young family, but Collingwood welcomed us with open arms, and I had some good times over there. I really enjoyed my time at Collingwood. Footy didn't go as well as I was hoping. I had a pretty solid start to my first season there. I tapered off a bit. I probably burnt out a bit in my first year there, to tell the truth. I probably put way too much pressure on myself at the age of 31 or 30, whatever it was. I was training way too much. Probably at the time in my career when I needed to take my training down and just concentrate on the games, but I was trying to sort out to prove a point, and probably trained a bit too hard and probably got a bit burnt out in the back end of the year. And my second year there, I had a good pre-season, but sort of missed the first round, and then I was playing reserves and broke my leg, and that pretty much finished me off then. So
like a visible break, or was it like a crack?
Cracked my tibia, so the little bone. I think it's a little one down the bottom, but cracked it real high, pretty bad, spiral fracture, and then decided to get an operation done on it to get it plated, try and get back quicker. Yep. But that just went a bit pear-shaped. They had to rip my calf off my bone a bit, and then it stirred up some nerve damage, and ended up being 13 weeks in the end. So
just quietly ripped the calf off the bone.
Oh, because it was that the surgeon. I probably shouldn't have done. Usually, when you break them, if it's sort of mid-bone, they can plate them pretty easily. But this one was high, so they had to get in, and they really stirred up the main nerve running down my leg.
Right.
And I had a lot of trouble with it, and couldn't get back running like I should have. And I ended up getting back, played about 4 games of VFL, but, pretty heavily medicated to get out there. Just wanted to make sure I finished my career playing. So
Just having a look. So 2012, Buckley's first season as coach.
Yep.
Yeah, what was that like, having him sort of jump in?
Yeah, it was. Obviously, I knew no different. So he was good. He was. He grew a lot as a coach while I was there, and even once I left. But he was learning the caper a little bit. So no, he was good to work under. I ever worked under the two coaches, him and Woosher. So there wasn't much else to compare to. Woosh was great as well. So, but no, he went on to have a good stint there at Collingwood, 10 years in the end.
The process when you left West Coast, was there a stage where they had an opportunity to come back and keep you at the club?
Yeah, they could have matched the offer.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely. They had the chance, and obviously that was probably would have been my wish to finish my career off there. Obviously the opportunity was great to go, but they weren't willing to budge. And Woosher virtually told me there was blokes that are going to play before me. Hence those, in hindsight, those blokes never played another game really. So, but that's all hindsight now. It's water under the bridge.
And hindsight, you go to Collingwood. Speaking to you beforehand, you had a great time there.
We would have stayed in Melbourne had we not had our business back here in Perth with my in-laws. We definitely would have stayed in Melbourne for a couple of years. It was it's an awesome place. We had a great time, made great friends, and heading back at the end of this year for a wedding actually. So
disappointing how it turns out, but in hindsight, I mean, it's a part of the journey. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't change it for the world. Not for the world. Met another great bunch of mates. Part of another great footy club, and always welcome there whenever I want if I go over there and stuff. So, I don't regret it for 1 minute, and we had an awesome time there.
West Coast and Collingwood are viewed commonly as the powerhouses of the AFL.
Yeah.
Did you feel that? Did you feel they were just two really big clubs? Was there differences?
Yeah, there were differences. They are two big clubs. The difference, and I've always said it, is Collingwood felt a little bit more like a footy club, whereas the Eagles could be a bit more businessy, whereas they still had some real old school traditions at Collingwood. That was probably the only difference. But as big clubs go, they were both big, and everything that as everyone's seeing it presently, anything that happens at Collingwood's big news, and same as here in the West, anything the Eagles do is big news.
Do you think that's because of the history Collingwood have as a footy club? Because I would agree with you. Not that I've played another AFL club, but played with Peel in my first year out, and even though it's Peel who has the Freo alignment, there was a lot of football club elements that I'd kind of missed for 14 years, right, at West Coast. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, we had success, and I love the footy club and all that, but just an observation, I would agree with you. Do you think that's because of the history, like the Collingwood had? West Coast is a new club.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Yeah, I think so. But, just old school footy, sort of footy mentality is sort of it's probably what
they had the boot starter. They had the boot starter in there.
Yeah.
We never had that at West Coast.
No, we always had a bloke only looked after your boots. He'd come in every training session, just chuck them in the box, and he'd clean them all up and polish them and that sort of stuff. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And all the old supporters used to come in and make all the food for you, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, great.
You mentioned excuse me, so your in-laws business that you're a part of.
Yep.
Was that the clothing?
Yeah, the clothing store. So
Yeah.
we've still got that. So my wife runs it with her mum pretty much now. Her dad still floats around, but it's only it used to be men's and ladies' clothes, only ladies now. But no, that's been in their family for. Look, they were going to close it in about 2010, and I sort of stepped in and said, no, I don't think we should let this go to the family. My wife's grandfather started in 1955, so it's got a pretty tradition.
Wow.
Although when he had it was everything. It was like a little mini Myers, really. You could get everything in there. But still going well. Still, great business now, and my wife's doing a good job in there.
Do you ever get in there and help match people's clothes up?
I was going to say no men's clothes. He doesn't have to be the mannequin anymore.
Right. Can I help you, sir? Fitting some jackets on people.
I used to do a little bit in there back in the day when the men's they were really stuck. But I'll steer clear of it now. I still look after a bit of the bookwork side of things, but make sure everyone gets paid. But other than that, I'll leave it up. The women's
Fashion ever been your strong point, Lynchy? Or?
No. Still, actually, it's funny you say that. My wife was out shopping today, and I made her buy me some business shirts. So I'm still not that keen on shopping, to tell the truth, mate.
Same as me, mate. You're spot on. Now, okay, so a lot of people, I don't know if you turned yourself into it or you got turned into it or how it happened, but you're a cult figure at West Coast, and it was around your goal kicking. You had the biggest leg I've ever seen in my life. Your hamstrings are bigger than my torso. But it was around the glove for a certain period of time. Got to ask you about it because I know a little bit more about it than other people don't. I.e., you bought it from Bunnings, the one that was approved there in the end.
Yeah.
How did it start? And I want you to show you our listeners why you wore it. You're going to like this, Dan.
Wearing gloves before I came to the club. With my first year at West Perth, I used to wear a glove a bit outside before I got to the Eagles.
Why?
And then, I don't know. Someone just give me a pair once, and I tried them, and I sort of liked it, and then obviously got to the club and was wearing them, and then these ironclad ones come on board, and they obviously saw me. One of the blokes, Damien, right, who I've known for a while, obviously saw me wearing gloves, and they just sent a box full of them into the club, these ones to try, and I was like, I'll give them a crack. And back then there was no regulations on them, on the gloves in the AFL. And these gloves are good. I was like, I like these ones. So I ran with them, and they were called box handlers. They were the glove, ironclad box handlers, and they were very commonly available at Bunnings and still are. And it sort of struck up a bit of relationship with him and this other bloke, Steve Goodhue, that sort of wholesaled them. And they just sent me them whenever I wanted them, and just they'd say, "You need any more?" I said, "Yep, give me some more." And I used to wear probably 2 or 3 a game, because a bit like cricketers, take them off when they got wet. So I'd take them off on at half time and get a new one. And
right.
And that sort of became a thing. And then obviously I really stuffed up one of my fingers and started wearing it on my right hand. So that's the reason I took it off, was because it was on my right hand, which is my kicking hand, ball drop hand, and it used to affect my ball drop. So I'd take it off for kick goals, and that was so I could get have a bit better feel on the ball kicking goals. But in general play, it sort of didn't worry me too much. But in that closed skill of kicking goals, it seemed to I had a chance to take it off, so I took it off.
You used to throw it at stages.
Oh, I used to flick it behind me just to get it out of the way because I didn't want to tuck it into my shorts. And then a couple of times, a couple of opposition players picked it up and threw it over the fence. So then I started giving it to trainers. So, I didn't like tucking it in my shorts for some reason. It's just some of those stupid little things you do. And but
Ian Smith, I reckon, used to love coming and getting the glove off you.
By the time they
a
few of the trainers, once they saw me having a shot, they'd come close and grab it off me. So the rest of my career. Then I had to get it approved to the back end of my career when the AFL started bringing on the regulations about gloves
because Travis Cloak.
Yeah, well, me and Clokey we tried out these gloves that come from America, these Nike ones. Now, they are gridiron gloves, NFL ones, and they were next level. Like, you literally was like Spider-Man. So I could see why they were trying to ban them.
You couldn't drop it.
No, mate. You see those blokes in the NFL catching one-handers like 4 metres behind their head. These gloves are out of control. They were sticky, like glue. So, it was. You nearly couldn't kick with them on because the ball would get stuck on it. It was crazy. So, but I got mine approved for the last couple of years of my career.
The box handlers,
just so I could keep my finger in check. So, Yeah.
Can we have a look at the finger, please?
Right.
So put it up to that camera there.
Yeah,
it's not quite going at the right direction.
Nah, it's
Dan?
Yeah.
You like look at that one?
I don't like the look of it. I don't like the knuckle.
No, well, that's how the knuckle runs now. So I've had X-rays done and it's sort of just all gone to one side. So it's it doesn't hurt anymore. Look, it used to hurt a lot when I was playing footy because I was always catching footies.
You used to strap them up, didn't you?
No, well, that's why I had the gloves. So I had the gloves so I could web the last two things because I can't get it close enough to strap up. It pops underneath. And then it just becomes a bit of a pain. So I used to have it, but just have that bit webbed so it couldn't get any further out because it can go a fairly long way.
I was having a look earlier at a video you talking about it and saying how it was either like get it cut off or wear a glove.
Yeah. Yeah,
so Chicky cut his off. And
Chicky did his ring finger. So, but I was, I've got a friend that's old man who's a hand surgeon, and he said, "No, you can't cut it off because, lo and behold, all your grip strength and all your signals to your brain come from your thumb, and then go to your little finger. So, if you cut your little finger off, you've actually got to retrain your whole hand, and so your ring finger becomes your next." Wow. Yeah, so it's not just as plain
grabbing anything, grabbing a beer, grabbing whatever.
So it's not it's all about your motor skills. So it's not as easy as just getting the axe out and lopping it off. Which at one stage I was seriously considering because it was so sore. Right, it used to hurt so much.
Did you used to know the crowd used to be cheering more for the glove coming off than the goal? Yeah. Did you used to hear it? And no,
look, I did. It did hear it. It was it's good. Good for them. It was became a big thing for the crowd, but in the end, I got pretty used to it. But whatever makes them happy, mate. You know what it's like.
Did you ham it up, make it a bit more dramatic? Wait a bit longer sometimes.
I had bigger problems to worry about hamming it up. Trust me, like trying to kick straight.
You were a backman though. Do remember that? I think you kicked well for a backman. What about a couple of? Everyone's got to make ends meet while they're playing the AFL, Dan. And Lynchy at one stage was the poster boy for SGIO and a couple of ads, a couple of viral ads.
You've stitched me up now.
I have not, but you stitched yourself
up. They stitched me up that first year and I had that catch line.
What?
No, it doesn't. You can repeat
Tell
it.
Which one?
Not anymore. And then anyway, the following year, the club comes back to me in SGO, want to do another ad. And I said, I flatly said, I will do it as long as it's not the same as last year. And they said, definitely not going to be anyway. Fair enough. They stitched me up again. Halfway through the filming of it, they told me what I had to say. And I was like, won't say what expletives I used.
Yeah, but what was the line for the second one?
Yeah, it was exactly the same. I was like, what the heck? You can't do that. The ironic thing was the first one, I think, was the first, or the second one was actually about a Collingwood supporter.
Yeah, scooter. You and Juddy were painting a scooter.
And then I went and played for Collingwood, so there's a bit of irony for you.
So the second one, wasn't there something to do with, or was that Coxie, the Porsche and Porch thing?
Yeah, I think that was might have been the second one, Big Coxie, yeah.
So you had that not anymore.
Yes, so they doubled me up on the not anymore. So, yeah, that was my proudest TV moment, mate. But as I said, you got to pay the bills, don't you?
Thanks, mate.
Do you remember how much you got paid for that?
No, I think it was part of my contract.
SGIO major.
It was just written into my contract that I had to do a certain amount of promo for the club. So yeah,
they did well out of that. Realistically, that's
wasn't the worst job I had while I was playing.
Which was what?
Well, when I first started, when I was a rookie, I was my mates were chippies, so they had roof chippies, so I used to work for them. So I'd train in the morning, race off, and go and help them build roofs. If the club had known that, I was climbing around on houses all day.
You were on roofs.
I was doing roof chipping. So yeah, I was stuffed up. It was fun. I've got a funny story about that because one of my mates, there's a house when Canning Vale was first getting like all the houses, subdivision going in there. We built a lot of houses out there, and there's a house. I still know exactly where it is on the corner of Ranford Road. And I got to the stage where I was pretty good at doing roof chipping, and so my mates used to let me cut the roofs out, which mean put all the trusses and everything on the benches and cut all the angles on them, which I did perfectly. But what I'd have done wrong is I'd put all the bows up the wrong way. So when they put the roof up, put all the beams up and all the rafters up, the bow in the roof was going down. So then they put 7 ton of tiles on it and it looked like I had a ski jump.
They actually just left it like it.
Well, no, the builder came back and said, boys, you got to come fix this up. And luckily I was at footy training when they went and fixed it. They had to get jacks and jack it all up and prop it all. It all propped out in the end, but all the bows, so with the roof, you're supposed to bow it so it goes up. So when the tiles sit on it, it flattens out. Well, I bowed it the wrong way. So when the tiles went on, she bowed even more. It looked like someone had a ski jump in the roof. So I could still take you to that house too. I know exactly where it is.
That's very good. Hopefully they don't have too many leaks as they're sitting there watching the footy on a Friday night. Well, okay, well, post career, then you finish up at Collingwood, you come back here to WA, and I always think about it. I don't know how it worked. I know my old man was one back in the day, but you were playing coach at Trinity Aquinas.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yep. Yeah. So when
How was that?
So obviously got the call from Trinity Aquinas. Obviously, two of my high school and Trinity come back together and form an amateur club, which has been around about 45 years now. And got the call from the club to see if I was interested in coming back and playing coach. And I said, yeah. Well, I really wanted to play footy. That was the main thing.
Yeah.
So this got me to kill two birds with one stone. I got to play and coach, which I never thought I'd do any coaching, but obviously when I broke my leg at Collingwood, I started really helping out the VFL side and doing a bit of coaching with the young blokes there, and I really started to enjoy it and felt that there's something I could do. So, got the call to see if I could apply for the job, and I did, and got to play coach and had obviously good 2RC and Daniel Spencer helped me out, but that was really enjoyed that time of my post footy. It really scratched an itch that I wanted to scratch and keep playing, and obviously hadn't played much footy the year before because of a broken leg, and went to a club where I had a really strong bond to, and all my mates had played at, and they were starved of premierships. They'd never won a league premiership, so that had a real driving force behind me going there.
And did you win a premiership?
Yeah, we did. So we played in prelim the first year. I had a pretty good side. I got a pretty good side together, and played in the prelim. Went out straight sets actually in the first year there. So that was when I got there, it was a pretty social footy club. Had good numbers and good representation, but they probably missed that real killer edge of amateur footy. Is not for the faint-hearted. That's you don't go back there and just think you can train for half a session a week and get a kick. And a lot of blokes used to come back from waffle and think that was how they could do. They could just, didn't want the constraints of waffle, but thought, I don't have to train very hard and I'll play good amateur footy. Well, it doesn't correlate. You've got to train hard and you've got to prepare yourself and you've got to be fit. So I bring a real hard edge to the team in the fact that I made sure our training standards lifted, professionalism lifted. And we didn't quite get the result the first year, but we were able to win one the second year, and then went on to win 2 in a row. So
wow,
yeah, it was pretty good fun.
I mean, people wouldn't understand that insight because people, even me, I think amateur football, we just go back, have a couple of beers on a Tuesday night. So you brought the AFL mindset, maybe not. You don't have the same level of support. But
yeah. Well, I just made sure that blokes came to training. You have to train twice a week, and it's like anything. If you want to be a successful side, and A-grade amateurs is a good standard of footy.
Yeah.
If everyone should know, if you want to play good footy, you can't touch the balls 5 times a week and then think you're going to get a kick on Saturday. You need to be at training, getting kicks and touching the ball a lot and making sure, you're up to speed and ready to go on Saturday. And I sort of made that pretty clear to my boys and got a lot of buy-in and success came on the back of it. And
you're now coaching Aquinas, the PSA boys.
Yeah, so I've been there. This is my 5th season at Aquinas now. I stepped away from Trinity Aquinas. I coached one premiership, and then the second year I handed the reins over and just I kept playing, but I handed the reins over to my assistant, so I could step away and sort of. The family was probably calling a bit, but I still wanted to play and was able to play in another one. But then I gave up the Trinity Aquinas altogether and went and coached at Aquinas. So I've gone back to where it all started now for me, back to my old school, and it's something I love, and I love seeing my boys do well. Having a tough year this year, but and still seeing great growth in young men, and still love seeing the boys pulling the black and red, and I've got a lot of passion for the school, so it drives me a long way.
Might be sending our boys there, Lynch. You might have to have a come and chat to you about a backline coach, perhaps, mate. Now, you got any other questions?
Before we're going to get to social media, I got to ask. So, we sort of touched on your sort of cult status, as a West Coast player. Did you get to use that much around town in Perth? Because footy fans in general and the general population would have known of Quinten Lynch.
Oh, look, I wasn't. I wanted to go out into the nightclubs and go up the front and say, do you know who I am? That's for sure.
Lynchy was a back corner operator.
I
from experience.
I like going out, but I would never put myself front and centre at any to get any attention. So I didn't use it that sort of way. Obviously, you got noticed in the street a lot, and it's still pretty cool now, and you get noticed, especially after being out for so long, and walking to the footy on Friday night with my little fella, and people yelling out at you, just saying good day, and the little fella's eyes light up. He thinks it's pretty cool. So. That's about the extent of it now. But it is still nice to be recognised. It's you're a long time retired, but yeah, I never try to take advantage of it. Put it that way.
Do you remember the 2012 footy trip in Thailand?
I just remember it. I'd already signed with Collingwood then, and I sort of asked the boys and Coxie. I said, can I still come? And yeah, so that was my last hurrah at the Eagles. So I've made sure I went out with a bang.
So I think Lynch, you might have got best on that entire trip.
Yeah, well, pretty close to it until the last day. I must admit, it was a long day waiting for my flight before I went home. I was very, very ill.
Were the boys? I have memories of the boys not singing the Collingwood theme song, but the Carlton theme song. Did the boys cook it, or were they singing the Collingwood theme song?
No, they were singing the Collingwood theme song
at all points.
Yeah, whenever they could. So,
you would speak, and the Collingwood theme song would start. Someone would be DJing, and they'd go speak to the people behind the booth, and the Collingwood theme song would play. That's what I remember.
Yeah, no, that was pretty right spot on there, mate.
How'd that? I mean, I feel like were you just like, okay, fair enough, I'm done.
Yeah, well, I was done then, so it didn't matter. I thought, yeah.
Lynchy was a back corner operator at all points, footy trips, nightclubs, wherever, would find a suitable place to put his elbow, and then you wouldn't. Where's Lynchy? He's never moved. Get him a beer, he's still there.
Dance floor was never an option.
Did you ever hit the dance floor?
It had to be a very special occasion, mate.
Social media now, Lynchy. This is a big segment. I know that's why you're here. I know you know a lot about it. You told me a lot about it before. This is where the people, our audience, get to ask you the questions. You've heard enough from Dan and I. This is coming direct from our audience, Lynchy. Are you ready?
Not really, but yep, far away.
Prox _
It says, big fan of Quinten. Are you still coaching local footy, or we sort of talked about that? Do you have any aspirations for getting involved in coaching Waffle or AFL?
Yeah, not at this stage. No, I'm really happy where I'm coaching in Aquinas at the moment. I really enjoy that job. Obviously, my young bloke's going to Aquinas at the moment. So, yeah, at the moment, I always thought that I'm not really interested in going to an AFL club and getting my head cut off after 2 years or something. So it's pretty brutal out there, eh? Everyone sees it's a pretty brutal environment. But, no, very happy where I am.
You keep in touch with old teammates of the coaching? Coxie comes to mind?
Yeah, still keep in touch with Coxie a fair bit, yeah. And the one I'm really happy for is Jamie Graham. I reckon he's doing really well. And
Ash Hansen, another one?
Yeah, Ash, yeah. Both those blokes have coached senior footy this year. So haven't spoken to Ash for a while, but hopefully we'll catch up at the end of the year when I'm over in Melbourne. But, some boys doing some really good things out there, which is great to see.
Look, I don't know what this means. Maybe this means nothing, Lynchy, but Tim J. Woods, 27.
Q-Stick, do you like dim sims?
Not that I know of.
Okay, perfect. I thought there might have been an in-joke there, not at all.
No, I don't know.
So it's a yes or a no for dim sims?
No dim sims.
What about Philadelphia Fishers?
What are they?
Yeah, that's the right answer. Thanks, Quinten.
Okay.
Supertramp _ Bryce.
G'day, lads. I'm keen to hear one of Quinten's best stories about growing up with Kerry.
Curry. That's Curry. Daniel
Curry.
Curry.
Kerry. It's Kerry.
Yeah, it is Kerry.
Well, I can tell you funny. When he first
he's looking for a PG rating.
I'm going to go back early days in school. When he first came to Aquinas, he would have weighed 50 kilos. He was tiny. He was a little fella, and obviously it was misconceived that Daniel was an Aboriginal Indigenous descent, but he's not. He's Indian. He's from Indian descent, and there wasn't too many Indian kids at Aquinas in year 8, that's for sure, but there was one other kid that was Sri Lankan. So Daniel, when he first came to school, felt a little bit out of place. So he sided up with the other kid from Sri Lanka and just told him he was Sri Lankan so he'd fit in somewhere. And it wasn't until the cricket or something came on and they worked out, Daniel had to confess to this other kid. He goes, "No, I'm not even Sri Lankan, I'm actually Indian." So that was pretty funny.
To keep going on that, remember he got named in the Indigenous...
Yeah, and he was the poster boy on their flyer for the AFLPA, and he had to say, "Guys, I'm not Aboriginal, I'm Indian." Wow. So
he got picked in like a 2010 or 11 team of the...
It was pretty bad by the AFL, really, when you think back at it. So yeah, that's one funny story.
Very good. DX Ham 1308. Bit of a long one here.
G'day, the Glove Governor. Can you recollect your thoughts back to the time you went through a phase or period during your footy career where you used to go and fine dine, then you'd write up a blog or review about the place?
Gee whiz.
Can you elaborate on how that came about? And was it only you that did it, or was there other identities that played alongside you that joined the phase?
Hashtag not anymore.
I've got no idea where that came from. I actually can't remember, but yeah, they sort of I'd take the wife out and try and do a food review, which is probably not my strongest.
Are you a foodie?
No, well,
you like eating.
I used to love cooking. I love cooking, but yeah, I can't remember where that came about, and I can guarantee I I got the wife to write the post because my English skills are very limited.
That's good.
Geez, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, so that's why I like these, Lynchy. They come
Good
out of
for some
left
free
field.
meals, I guess.
Liv_Floro.
I have great memories as a kid of my dad yelling "Lynchy" at the TV every time Quinten kicked a goal. A fan favourite in our household because he is from our little town of Esperance. Lynchy, who is your closest friend at the club, and what is your best local football memory playing at Gibbo FC?
Okay, I'll do the Gibbo thing first. So obviously being from the bush, we moved to Grasspatch over near Gibson when I was 14, 15. So I never got to play senior footy where I played all my junior footy at Boxwood Hills, which is where I grew up till I was 15. So the only league, I played reserves for Boxwood, the only league country game I ever played was for Gibson, and it was out at Condenut. They usually didn't let me play because I couldn't train on a Friday night, but the full forward pulled out, and I reckon Wade Montgomery, I'll mention his name because I remember him well. I reckon, and he was a very good footballer in his own right. I reckon he only pulled out and said he had a tight hamstring, so they would play me because he really wanted me to play a game.
Wow!
And I ended up kicking 9 for him, so that was well worth it.
Well
so
done.
Thanks, Wade. And I actually ran into funny because I ran into his brother the other day. But so that's my memory of footy at Gibson, the one league game in the country I played.
Wow.
And my best mate it was probably Curry at the footy club because obviously, as everyone's heard throughout the podcast, we started at school together in year 7 and we played a lot of footy together. And obviously very sad where he's at now, but it's I still try and keep in touch with him and so forth.
You had some great teammates over that time, like some of the greats of all time to play for West Coast. Embers, Coxie, Curry, Judd, Braun, Waters, Glass, Cuzzy.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty special time at the footy club, and there's still a pretty strong bond between a lot of us too. So it's good, and catch up when we can, and such great memories made through those times. And it's such a big part of your life, so you've got to try and hang on to that stuff because it's you can't forget that it's such an important period of your life.
What was that reunion like? 2016. I watched the 30-year reunion for the '92 boys. What was 2016 like?
It was pretty subdued. There's still a bit going on back then. So the club it was pretty low key. Let's hope our next one's a bit more. We can probably put ourselves out in the public eye a bit more. Well, what do we? We'll be here before we know it. 20-year one. So
we got 4 years left.
Yes, it was nice to see everyone. It was, as I said, we had a pretty intimate little catch up, and it was good. It was good to see everyone. But no doubt in 20 years, hopefully in the 20-year one, we'll be able to be back in the public eye.
Hopefully everyone will be here. And
touch wood.
Yes, correct. Saxon_Soundness, 2 to go, Lynchy.
Do you have the largest hamstrings of all time?
I reckon Shannon Hearn's got me covered easy.
You two used to go head to head with the bench press.
Yeah, that and the leg press, we were always pretty touch and go. But no,
who had each other covered?
No, it was pretty close for a long time. You've got to remember he's 10 years younger than me too, so not quite 10, probably 6. But he always looked 10 years older, so that's all right.
You got him. I reckon you got him because he didn't used to get angry about much, Bungo, but he used to come out after testing time at the gym, bit angry because he used to get him, I reckon.
Yeah, I got him most of the time. It wasn't, I'm going to take the cake there.
Very good. Last one, Henry Stevens, 17. I'm interested in this one.
Quinten in Latin means 5th. Does Quinten have 4 older siblings, or is his name a lie?
Nah, correct. I've got 4 older sisters.
Wow.
I'm the 5th, and then I've got a brother. So
and
well done.
Is that where Quinten, is that?
I'd actually don't.
I have to ask the
parents.
Yeah,
I think Mum must have thought about it some, actually. Yeah. So, but it was, I'm definitely the 5th child. No, 4 older sisters, as I said. So.
And to finish, you've got some nicknames, Q Stick, the Big Q, the Big Unit, apparently, TBU. These are any favourites or just Lynchy?
Look, my favourite one's the one I call my son now, but it's nothing to do with footy. As a kid, I was always, so my brothers and sisters always know I'm known as Spud. So I call my young bloke Spud now as well.
Why?
Well, mine was because I was so fat and I just looked like a potato. So honestly, I couldn't crawl because my guts were so big and drag on the ground. So my dad would have to hold my belly up to teach me to crawl because I was too fat. But I gave it to my son because he had such a massive head. He couldn't walk because his head was so big. So he'd fall over. So he'd crawl all right.
Top heavy.
He was too top. He was too top heavy. So he walked about 16 months because his neck got strong enough to carry his head, so he'll hate me telling everyone that. Even tell you that. But, so he got Spud. Now I nickname him Spud. So he's,
how old's your son now?
He's 10. He's the middle one.
Unreal. Mate, that's done and dusted. You had fun?
It's been good. Yeah, it's been good.
There we go.
Reminisce.
Correct. Quinten Lynch, BackChat. Thanks to our sponsors, Bluebet, Margaret River Roasting Co., Whippersnapper Distillery, Shelter Brewing Company. They look after us. If you're listening to this, it's Wednesday night. Beers with BackChat tomorrow. No. It's happened. Beers with BackChat's happened. It's happened. No, we don't have to. We're recording this before Beers with BackChat. I hope you had a good night, by the way. You can find us on YouTube. Find us by searching BackChat. You can find us on Instagram, BackChat _. We've got a website, backchatpodcast.com.au. Send us an email at hello@backchatpodcast.com.au. You impressed with that, Lynchy? I've just spat all that out.
It's a very good memory, Will.
Very good. And you might be able to find Lynchy over there too. That's it. Done and dusted.